Looks like kind of a messy clock signal to me. Let me switch over to the other leg of the crystal. And you can see that that little jiggy jag is now moved to the bottom of the, I'll call it a sine wave, not strictly speaking a sine wave, but to the trough of the wave. Move it back up to the top. And it goes to the top. I think I'll replace that crystal just for grins. Can you hear how the voice is very faint? That's going to be one of these 1458 amplifiers on the speech board. And so let's go get those changed out. But while I'm here, let me boot this MPU and driver board pair. The client indicated that it wouldn't boot reliably. I have done the old rec.games.pinball rule of thumb and booted this thing 10 times in succession, and it boots every single time. Now, intermittent problems like that are very difficult to track down. So I've kind of done everything possible to ensure that this board boots. The only two things left are these AMI 6808 and 6821. So if there's any problem in the future, first course of action is to change those things out. But I'm not going to change them out right now. I hate throwing in parts when I'm not sure that they've failed, especially when these parts are becoming hard to find and pricey. So what have I done? I've re-pinned all the male headers. That's not a factor in booting or not in general, but on the driver board also, I've replaced the 5-volt filter cap on both the MPU and the driver board. In the MPU, I use a radial cap because the position lends itself to that. I've installed a blanking indication, so when the red LED comes on, that is a good thing. I have updated the reset section per the Pin Wiki. My friend Jim Paulson came up with this method, and when I first did it, I put the jumper in the wrong place. I put it from here to here, and I got some wacky results, so I put it back where it should have been, and she boots up every single time. I have socketed 1, 2, 3, 4 24-pin sockets. These are new ROMs. FirePower originally comes configured with 6 ROMs, but you can combine 1, 2, 3, 4 ROMs into a single 2732 and put it right here. These are just refreshed 2732s. The old mask ROMs are a source of potential failure also, so those got to go, even though they seem to test okay. I tested the 5101 and the 6810. They test good. I replaced the socket on the 6808. I replaced this socket for diagnostic purposes, and it's just fine also. So I put a CR2032 battery holder on there. There was a 3 AA holder on there, but I needed to have this on here for testing, and it's a good solution anyway. What else? I guess that's it. So let's boot it up. I'm going to stand back a little bit. Oh, I did replace both these LEDs. Both of them had cracked off. Weird. So it boots into game or a track mode, since I've got the 2032 battery holding up the CMOS memory RAM here, and the track mode lamps are working, and the only solenoid that's on is solenoid 16, and that is the coin lockout solenoid. Let's just connect this logic probe back up where it belongs. So let's get into test. I have my dumbass designed test fixtures here. Super nice. This display will do anything from system 3 to system 9. And you can see those are all working correctly. We hop down to the lamp matrix, which is operating correctly also. The next test is going to be solenoid test. The 2 bright orange ones that came on are the flipper ground. They're inside that cube-like relay that's on the driver board. And we can see that all these circuits are working fine. 16 goes off. And I missed the first special solenoid. And then 16 will come back on now, since it's a coin lockout solenoid. The first time I encountered setting a game on free play, and I was wondering, why is that coin lockout solenoid not firing? But it's obvious, the game's on free play. We let this pass. We can actuate the tip 102s by the switch inputs, so that's working just fine. Next test is switch test, and FirePower has 58 switches that it will report. Something I really don't like about Williams, but there's 58. So if you try to press or actuate switch 64, for instance, or anything higher than 58, it refuses to report it. It's kind of irritating. Okay, let's go to setting 18, I believe it is. Yeah. And I made a mistake the other day. I mentioned that you adjust free play by setting this setting to 0, and I thought you could only go up. Turns out you can go down. Thanks for that tip from one of my viewers. I did not know that. So now we're on free play. So once I reboot this, you're going to note that solenoid 16 will remain off. There we go. All right, back on the bench with this FirePower board pair. And right at the end of that video, before I stopped recording, or right as I stopped recording, this thing displayed a little wonkiness. So I'm taking these two AMI chips out and replacing them with NOS Motorola chips. So that is the last bulletproofing that I can do to this MPU and driver board pair. The driver board already has the Motorola 6821s in it. So let's get back to testing this sound and speech pair. I replaced both 1458s. I could have replaced one, seen if that did it, but ain't nobody got time for that. So I replaced them both. I've been experimenting using different techniques for using radial caps instead of axial caps, which are no longer available. And these are 470 microfarad, both of them. This is a 4700, 1000 microfarad, and a 100 microfarad. And so I drill holes through the PCB, put a rivet in there, and then make with the ground plane as is appropriate. So let's test this soundboard. First, we'll test each individual sound drive. That's a cool one. And then we'll test from the diagnostic button.
FirePower 1, 2, 3, enemy destroyed, mission accomplished, you are...
So that'll go on forever until I cycle power. I want to show you these two green LEDs I put in here. Damn, those things are bright. I hate 3mm LEDs, but I had a few of them, and I replaced the red ones with green ones just for giggles. So this, we could put this back into display test. Lamp test. Solenoid test. And then switch test. And everything is working just fine. She's still in free play. You can see that solenoid 16 is still turned off. So I'm going to leave these on my bench for a little bit longer. I'm going to do nothing more than this, which is power off and power back on 10 times in a row. I won't drag you through this, but once it goes 10 times in a row, I'm going to call it good and get these boards back into my very patient client's FirePower machine. I love FirePower. I have one in the restoration queue, and as soon as things slow down here, that's 6 by the way, I'm going to get after that FirePower. I have a CPR playfield, which CPR worked with me to finally get one in here where the hot dog inserts were correct and not, I guess, cracking or whatever is typical. That's 10. One more to grow on, as my wife always says at birthdays, and we are good to go. Thank you so much.